July 7th, 2024. This is a conversation about what's in the natural laws of the universe. And it's just a conversation about how to express our consciousness. This is the first video, the first form of expression to speak what's on our mind. The first form of expression on a more deeper level, instead of just expressing through what we do for our daily life, with who we express with. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay.
So in your own words, or your words, how would you explain what natural law is?
I would say what comes to mind is, it's in the word natural law, so nature. We are what we see in our environment, what we call nature, the things we see with our eyes, things we hear, what we feel in our environment, if it's hot, cold, raining, if it's cloudy, and the moods we have or the feeling we have in those environments. And then we have, that's like on the external, that's in our external, I would say, objective reality. But then we have our internal nature, and there's some natural laws within ourselves with how we feel inside when we eat something, drink something, or the lack of those things, how we feel, if it feels good or it feels bad. And when we somehow our feelings tell us that we either maybe didn't make the right choice, we took a wrong path, or of, like, let's say I eat a lot, so my body reacts to it. I feel maybe pressure on my stomach, my mind gets cloudy possibly. Or when I don't eat something, my body starts reacting as well. And in nature, there's the internal and external, I would say, laws, just something that we know is to be true. So there's just things that we do, that we take action on, that could either be what we call good or bad for us. And just like what we could feel in our body, or what it makes us feel in our thoughts with our mood, there's similar things in the external objective world that we are, I would say, connected with, because for some reason I feel good in the sun, and sometimes I feel not so good when it's cloudy, or feel good, either or. It just depends on maybe certain things, where it feels a certain way.
So do you think natural law is like could natural law be explained to someone as like how you, the reason why you do things that are like organically done, organically thought of, not like environmentally organic, but like things that you just know to do or not to do. Could that be a way to describe it?
There is
Like just like this inner knowing, like I know to not run into traffic. Like like those are
right.
natural laws, like not to put yourself in danger or something.
Right. I think I would say that maybe is with our either our intuition or instinct. We
Is
feel.
that part of natural law though?
I think that is something that we learn by experiencing life when we're, let's say, children, when we're really young in age, and we're learning certain things that make us feel a certain way. So or if there's a kid that is learning how to walk, they go from crawling to walking, and naturally they take I don't know if it's the leap of faith or just the natural idea of this is going to be a better way to do things, and we fall and it hurts. So maybe we know that there's something physical around us that our body, if it goes against, I guess, our nature, to make us aware of that, that's not what we should do, or try to avoid going somewhere where it's going to be harmful to our physical self. And we feel that through our senses that it's not good to fall or hit our head, or stub our toe on the bed, or put our hands in hot fire. And so through life we learn those things in our experience.
So is that like those are like the basics of natural law, right? Like that's just like this, like kind of how it starts and then it gets deeper. So is it something like you could say I follow natural law? Is that
Say While being aware that there's some laws in nature,
mm-hmm.
I would say that we should be curious or learn about our nature.
But is that the right phrase to use? Like there's like I felt like if someone were to say if someone were to say I follow Christianity.
Oh,
like,
well,
someone could say I follow natural law. Is that correct? Is that a correct term or phrase?
I would say most people don't say it, and maybe some people aren't aware of these laws that are learned through being curious about our life and about what this is all about. So it takes a mind that is aware of things, that there's just some things that we should become more aware of. So I don't know if people say it, but because it's not a common thing that we're taught, I don't remember hearing about it in school. Do you recall? Well, I know there's laws of nature, or like gravity and other laws, but there's just some things that we should become more aware about that could make our life more purposeful, which every life has a purpose. But
do you think majority of people know what natural law is, and if they know, they follow it? Or maybe people don't know that there's a word for, like an idea? Yeah. and they do follow it, or do you think majority of the people don't know what it is and maybe wouldn't follow it even if they did know what it was?
Well, even myself, I'm learning how to express what I think natural law is, and not just that, but even figuring out how to apply it more in my life so that I'm walking a path or living a life that has more meaning than, or just more meaning than the basic mundane things that we do, like I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm learning as well about natural law. So even the words that I use to explain it, I will only be able to expand on it more from my perspective and from learning through experience, that I'll be able to communicate with others better about it, or in a more way that others could understand it. But it's not very, it doesn't seem very popular through conversation, through what we interact with on TV, on the internet, on social media. It doesn't seem very like it's a popular idea or trending, or I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, so it's not. So the idea is to, the more that we speak on it, the more we will understand it, or the more we, the more we think about it, the more we'll look into it more, and I think that's what our what we're expressing, or what we're talking about, is that the more that the word is used, or the more that the topic is talked about, the more others maybe will look into it, and we all will collectively contribute to what these laws are, that are important to living and important to know how to live a life of in harmony with nature, because I think we're connected to nature, and just like the sun rises in the morning and it gives us light to see, gives the plants, humans, animals energy, vitamin D, all the things that it's like if we didn't have it, would we even be able to survive? So there's just some things that are in nature that we know the sun will rise and it will do what it does, and we know that there's seasons, and if we align ourselves with that, maybe we'll experience life in a more powerful way, in a more meaningful way than what we know of. If
I just want to check to see that we're still recording.
What are you gonna do?
Check to see that we're still recording. Okay. I'll cut that part out, don't worry.
We're checking to see if the recording was still going. Let's see here. I look up on Google natural law, and when we click images, let's see what comes up. So the first thing that comes up: a theory in ethics and philosophy that says that human beings possess intrinsic values that govern their reasoning and behavior.
Have you seen that picture before?
Have I seen this picture before?
Mm-hmm.
I don't recall seeing that exact picture, but it looks like a long time ago, some years back, based on their garments and their hairstyles, maybe. But let's see what it says. There's a reason why they were on this image for natural law. It says natural law refers to laws of morality ascertainable through human reason. Moral philosophers have posited
I think. I've never seen that.
Yeah, posited that such laws are antecedent and independent of positive man-made law. The understanding of natural law is varied and complex, depending upon the role morality plays in determining the authority of legal norms and rules. The relationship between natural law and the First Amendment is equally complex. In general, natural law, as a higher law, forms the foundation on which the First Amendment rests. So, from when I'm understanding that morals, it talks about morality, and what the First Amendment, or not the First Amendment, the First Amendment rests upon. Also, it's Thomas Aquinas. That makes sense. I have seen his image. The medieval philosopher Thomas Aquinas was among those who concluded that a man-made law is valid only insofar as its content conforms to the content of the natural law. An unjust law is therefore not really a law. This gives individuals who believe that laws are unjust a way to oppose them. Religious beliefs have long been cited as justification for disobeying laws. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. invoked natural law in opposing racial segregation.
So basically, if a man-made law doesn't align with natural law, then it shouldn't be a law, basically?
That we shouldn't, there are just some laws, from what I understand, that are given to
segregation was a law, but that didn't align with natural law.
That's what I'm reading right now, or understanding. That it's, it sounds like it's basically not basically, but the relationship between humans and nature, and how we should treat each other. Certain things that we should feel or know. Well, that's the thing. Are we born, and do we learn these things with through our upbringing or through education, that we shouldn't, let's say, harm each other? There's respect for each other, so we learn those things in school. Or are we born so I think that's I think that makes me think that's the process of being a conscious being, a person that has a human mind that's capable of knowing more than, our mind could expand on things and come to become aware of what we feel is good or bad towards how we treat each other. So that's the part of life. So it could be we don't live in the way the animal kingdom does. We shouldn't think of as ourselves as we are not animals. We have a mind that is able to create art, music, expand on our perspective on with our imagination and animals, which are part of nature and part and connected to us and are a reason that they're here with us, but they have, I would say, a different role or a different way of living than what a human could understand to could become aware of understanding. And but that's the thing, it's not the most common, well, at least I don't hear people talk about natural law or morality as maybe is how it should be, especially with how things seem to be out there in social settings, the way people treat each other. So it's like we're supposed to keep learning about ourselves and how we think, what we think, why we think, and we have to reflect on those things. And if we just follow what is shown to us with entertainment or movies or what other people do, and not question it or not follow those ways of doing things that just to fit into the like others, in that then we won't become aware of these moral laws or natural laws. So it's about becoming more aware, like caring to become more aware.
How do you think more people can get to that point?
Well, I myself have become more aware of these ideas or topics or laws on the online through wanting to know more about why I feel a certain way, why I think a certain way. Like there's should be a time where someone like wonders why things are either going good for them or bad for them, or why there's things that happen in society that just don't seem like it's healthy, a healthy way of living. And for myself is learning about what my thoughts are and where they come from, and it led me in the path of becoming more aware of these topics that are just they're there for a reason. Like there's a reason why we all express or feel a certain way or think a certain way. We are all living in a world where we learn from each other. We somewhat imitate each other, or we copy in the sense of like styles. It could be the way we dress, the things that we talk about, the topics. So what was the question again? How could we?
Yeah, like how can someone start to become more aware of that? Or do you think people, like you said, like if someone wonders why things are going wrong for them or why things are the way they are, do you think that people are so used to thinking that way that they're just like, this is just how it is and there's nothing that can change that? I think a lot of people think that way.
That they feel that it's the way life is? Or
yeah, like if something is going wrong for someone, or just things in general that happen in the world, like, you know, the not so great things, people just think of that as like that's just how it is, and they don't think like why or
Right. So we have to question. Like it starts with like questioning things, or that's a lot has a lot to do with it. Like we learn. Um, I think we all have scenarios where we question things, either be the small questions or the very big questions that we think don't have solutions or answers. But to care enough or have the will or the belief that there's questions that could be answered that maybe not everybody um, talks about, or people that don't believe that these things could be answered or there's certain solutions. So it takes, I don't want to say that someone has to suffer to the point where they have to basically get it to their head that what's the reason for these things that happen to us. Like it could be in the either the small or the big questions, like why can't I sleep at night, or why can't I why does my body feel like this, or why do I look out at night into the sky and I imagine that is there something out there, or what's this about? Like we have to basically, not just use our eyes to see, but also, like not just like use our eyes to basically imagine, or like use our senses, or we have our senses to our physical senses to like think and to make us feel that there's make us wonder. So it's the thought is question something and
you
contemplate
think people
it.
don't question enough? They just accept.
Well, I think that it seems like people, they like to imitate, or just they don't believe there's answers out there. Maybe because we weren't taught that in the education system, or like there's so many things to expand on to our mind could think about that it's not taught to us how to think. Basically, we don't like learning how to think and learning how to use our mind in a way that's more I would say more powerful. That is we could process more information than what is, I would say, popular in the society. So I would say it's contemplating life, or in a sense of wondering, imagination, using those the creative mind, using the mind in a way that is like believing in oneself, that we are more than just our physical self, and like giving like ourself like knowing that we're more powerful than what we could imagine, and believing that, and having that just that giving us that drive to seek, to find, to keep digging, to keep searching for that point of view that we were looking for. And I think that's the reason why we're here to live, and that's the reason why we are living, to expand consciousness. Are you gonna look up another term?
I was going to ask you, do you think it's a coincidence that this was published in 2009 and it was just updated a few days ago?
That's interesting. Well,
I think that's interesting.
yeah, it's maybe they knew that we were going to need it for conversation.
Yeah.
or the universe knew. So there's some things that we
I wanted
can't
to see what.
really pinpoint, but we realized like this. It was I don't think it was a coincidence. It was I would say what they call a synchronicity.
Mhm.
Definition: natural law is a theory asserting that certain rights or values are inherent by virtue of human nature and can be universally understood through human reason. It posits that these laws are immutable and unchangeable, serving as a basis for morality and justice throughout human history. Examples: right to life, pursuit of happiness, family bonds, property ownership, self-defense, truth-telling, religious freedom, reproduction rights.
So kind of like what I was saying earlier, like someone wouldn't just run into the street. Like that's kind of like the self-defense one, right?
Yes, so protecting our body,
Mm-hmm.
right?
So some things that just feel natural, things that come natural to us, not things that we're programmed to think.
Yes.
Okay.
Because there's these ideas or these these influential books, philosophies, ideas that we come across in our life through having a mind and being human, that we either take them upon ourselves and we see that as our way of thinking or our way of living, and either feels right to us or we don't know why we do it. We just do some things. Like, why do certain people do certain things that they don't know why they do it until they maybe think about it more and try to follow the trail back to where that idea came from. And it's usually takes time and it takes a lot of energy and the will to do that. And what made me think that it seems like a lot of people don't have the time to reflect on these things because it's like a fast-paced type of living that it seems like most people do. They wake up, they go to school or they go to work, they are thinking about what they're going to eat, what they're going to do for that day, just certain things that just take up a lot of headspace, and it doesn't really give people the time to, or the energy to look into those things, because it's not. Imagine if we had that as part of our task since we're young, to like reflect and to think about our thoughts and to expand on that in our and expand on that with others, and to express that, to communicate with others about it, and like if more people had that type of conversation. But that's not the quote unquote popular thing to do. It's we just know that there's things that most people do is that they get the information, and that conversation is like a very common conversation. If it's about entertainment, if it's about sports, whatever's popular in society. And to think that, what if there was a society that, which I imagine in history there's been times where, I'm sure there were times where people were basically communicating, expressing to each other ideas that it took collectively the effort to try to understand these things, and they came to these basically understandings of what is reality, what is natural law, what is morality. So if that were to be more of a popular topic, which I feel that if that was the case, then that the people worked in a way to become more aware, that we would become more understanding of ourselves and of each other, and we would be in harmony with everybody and with nature, and things would be more, what's the word? I want to say, I don't know if the word is wholesome, but just more
More loving,
caring, more in unison. Like, let's say this is in like working together, basically.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that if we all work together, which we do, but not very in unison. There's a lot of moving parts instead of people working against each other. We could work together to become more aware of the solutions and have an understanding of ourselves and of each other. Like, we all have, humans are similar in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Just not, we could see someone else and we know they, either it's similar hairstyles, similar way voices, they have similar physical features, basically, and there's a reason why we could communicate with each other, and maybe not like we know it's different than trying to talk to a cricket. Even though we could talk to the cricket, but I don't know.
It might not talk back.
It might not talk back, but we see it and we could think about it and, understand it more and see what it does. I don't know what tells the cricket to do what it does, what tells the butterfly to do what it does, the bees. So so we know there are things that, are in our nature. Why, does a baby do what it does to get nurtured, why does everybody have a story that we all went from crawling to walking? We all have that similar, why do a lot of babies have their first words? We all had the first word. We've all, experienced the similar thing. So we know that a bee's going to do what it does. An ant's going to do what it does. And humans should be doing something too, and know that we have a purpose in this whole puzzle of life, that we're here to connect the pieces, and the puzzle is not complete without everyone completing it and working together. Everyone has different shapes and sizes. Some people they have 3 sides, some people have 1 side, some people have like a puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are the window, some people are the tree in the puzzle of a house.
Mm-hmm.
And we're here to, from my perspective, or from, I imagine, a lot of people's perspective, to do something, to express something, to live something out, a story, a chapter, a page in the story of life. So I would say that how do you feel? What do you think we've expressed?
I think there's a lot more to express, but for today,
I see what you mean. Today, I think that my mind I was able to get some ideas out, even though I know that there's more or a way. Like, I wanted to put things. There's there's a way our minds are working. It's like figuring out the right words to communicate, but I think for now that the energy was used in a positive way, and what is said is in the goes out to the universe, and it's part of the story. All right. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.